Hello, Ashtabula and Lake County. I'm here with Lynn Zalewski, Treasurer, Senior Services Levy, and Ashtabula County Commissioner Kathryn Whittington. We're kind of here today to talk about the Senior Service Levy that is up for renewal. Okay, so are you guys, ladies, ready to talk about this?
Yes, we are. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Can you first give a brief overview of the Senior Service Levy and what it funds?
Well, in the simplest of terms, the senior levy is to improve the quality of life for seniors in Ashtabula County. So that may mean mental or physical health. It includes their wellness, preventing isolation, providing socialization activities. So it's all of those things, and also trying to keep them in their homes as long as possible. We want them to maintain their independence for as long as it is safely possible. And some of the things that it funds are home delivered meals, transportation, personal services, independence and wellness, chore and handyman, protective services. So those are some of the things that it does fund.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have anything to add, Kathryn?
I do. So guardianship and payeeship is another critical service that is provided. And, our goal truly is to keep our seniors in their home as long as possible. And with these services, that's happening.
So how long has the levy been in place, and what changes, if any, are being proposed this year?
Well, the levy first started in the year 2000, so we're looking at 25 years of providing these services in Ashtabula County. It generates about $1.8 million annually that all go to provide services for our seniors. And this is a renewal levy, so there will be really no changes from the taxpayer perspective in what they are going to be charged. And we're hoping to continue these same programs, but we do look at where there is the most need. So each year when we put out the RFP, the request for proposals to the providers, we look at where there is the most need.
That makes sense for sure. Anything else anyone wants to add before we move on?
Well, and I think it really is critical to let the taxpayers know there is no increase in taxes. That really, we've had a lot of people asking, and because it's a renewal, it stays the same. Okay. So they're not going to see any increase in the senior levy, tax levy.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up. How much does the levy cost then? You mentioned a little bit on the average taxpayer, and like you said, that amount hasn't changed since it's renewal, but how much does that cost?
So on a home that's approximately $100,000, it's approximately $36 a year, or $3 per week.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it different.
So it's very, it's very inexpensive to provide all of these services to our seniors.
That's great. Anything, Lynn, you want to add to that part? I know she gave the pricing.
No, it's just really that there is no increase, and that $36 per year is what it is.
Yeah, that's great. So what would you say to voters who are concerned, like you mentioned, additional taxes, but just in general, like this isn't increasing, but just in general, taxes in general, like how there's so many different taxes they have to look at and services what would you say to them if you're like, oh, but I just don't want more additional taxes? I don't see the need myself, or I don't have family necessarily right now that needs, those things.
Well, again, that there is no additional tax, and really every township, every city, every town within our county has seniors that utilize this levy. And so you may not be utilizing it now, but you may in the future. Our county's is aging. So currently by the year 2030, they're projecting that about 30% of our population will be age 60 or over. So the senior population is increasing, and so the needs will increase as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, if some people might say, oh, I might not need it now, we all eventually might need something, or a family member.
Exactly. And you never know. And like Lynn said, we're serving seniors in every area of the county. North to south, east to west, we have seniors receiving services.
Yes, and we know we have a lot of counties as we, because that have 4 papers where we cover so much of that, different things going on.
And additionally, I guess I would add that there is no cost to the seniors for any of these services.
Yeah, that would be good.
They are provided at no charge to seniors throughout our county.
Yes, that's a great addition to add for sure. Can you share a success story of how the levy really has helped like a local senior, getting more specific?
I have a couple of stories in providing or in talking with the providers, but a recent one for home delivered meals. So when the person delivers meals, they knock on the door and they have to receive a response. So it's not kind of a drop and go type thing. They have to receive a response. And often they are the only socialization or contact that senior may have for that day is the driver that brings their home delivered meal. So the driver in this case did not receive a response. There was no answer to the door, and so they called for additional help for emergency services. When they entered the home, they found a senior that had been unconscious on the floor, was bleeding profusely, and they were later told that if they hadn't called for services, that person would not have survived. So that's a very intense, where it actually saved a life because of the home delivered meal. So it's so much more than just a home delivered meal. But that also, the range goes to a simple thing. So in chore services, we had a senior call about a leaky faucet and or pipe, and she thought that she was going to have to call a plumber, and she couldn't afford that. And so the handyman went out, and it was just a tightening, and that situation was resolved, and she was happy and didn't have any charge or any expense to her. So I think it shows that it can be a very simple thing to a very dramatic thing and truly saving lives.
Yeah, like you said there, you never know, in those situations, if you signed up to help deliver those meals or do something like that, and there could be where you might need to help somebody in a different way too.
Absolutely.
The drivers kind of get used to the person gets used to the driver, so they have a connection, and they kind of know who takes a little bit longer to come to the door or who answers rapidly, and so they get to know those seniors.
And truly that socialization with those drivers or the handyman or whatever service is being provided is critical, because also we know that driver may notice a change. And so if that person may not have family in the area and he's noticing some type of change, he can also go back and we can get services in to assist and assess
in a different
as well. So, you just never know how a senior is going to be impacted by the services.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those stories. So can residents how can they learn more about the levy and its impact right now currently?
Well, we do have a Facebook page, and so Ashtabula County Senior Services Levy, and there are stories to help seniors just about educational opportunities that are happening in the community, about the levy specifically, and then as well as some of the providers. There's some stories and sometimes some videos about some of the providers. The County Job and Family Services is who administers the levy, and so on their website, which is acdjfs.org. There is a senior levy tab, and so you can go there. And then lastly, we're happy to send a speaker. So if your business or organization would like to learn more about the levy, we are happy to have a speaker come and present to them.
Yes, and they're very active on their Facebook too. So they're always posting different things if you need to reach out to them.
They can also reach out directly to me here at the Commissioner's office. I am the liaison for the senior levy. So I'm happy to answer any questions or point them in a direction where we can provide services, resources, whatever they need.
So when and how now can residents vote on this levy?
So many of our residents and our seniors have requested absentee ballots. So that's always one way. Early voting here in Jefferson at the Board of Elections, that will start on April 8th and go through May 4th. They can vote in person right here at the Board of Elections in Jefferson. And of course, my favorite is in person at your polling location on May 6th.
May 6th,
voting day.
And if I could just add that the early voting at the Board of Elections, there are evening and weekend hours. So I think until May 4th, you can vote there. And so there's no excuse not to vote. There's lots of opportunities and hours available.
Yes, and the in-person voting at the Board of Elections will add Sunday hours. They'll do Monday through Friday for a while, and then they'll add Saturday and Sunday. So there truly is an opportunity from now until, from April 8th until May 4th to get out there.
Like you said, there's no excuse if this is what they're looking for. There's all the ways that they can vote.
And it is issue 4 on the ballot.
issue 4. Remember 4 on there. I know, because sometimes it can be hard, right, if you're reading different things and not knowing where the issues stand and stuff. But anything else you would like to add for that part? Well, thank you so much, both for giving us that information. Like they said, make sure you get, if you're interested in early voting, but at the same time too, just think about all these things, and they're here to help, if you want to make a very informed decision as a voter.